Hello and welcome to another Devolution conversation and I'm in conversation with a returning band who I remember with much fondness. Defenestration are in the house. Hello, guys, you're back. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello, we're
hello.
back.
So this is quite serendipitous because on Monday next week, I'm talking to Raging Speed on, and we
Oh,
we didn't plan this at all. This is just fallen like this. This is just, and I understand that's something to do with you guys getting back together, wasn't it? Weren't you playing together at Russ
Yeah,
Russell's
that's
event?
it. That's correct. Yeah, so Russ, he produced the first Defen album, and he's a sort of long-term friend of ours, and he's worked with Speed on their last however many records as well. He's been quite unwell, so he's unable to
Mm.
work. So we done a gig to raise a bit of money just to help him out, and obviously we wanted to get involved in some way, so we dragged ourselves out of a 20-year slumber to support Speed on and do that gig. So yeah, it's really good, and it was so much fun. We decided to do some more, and here we are.
Absolutely. So you must have got a good reception at that gig. So just turn around and
it
go,
was,
right, should we give it another crack?
yeah, it was super nostalgic. I think there was lots of people like friendly faces and stuff, and yeah, I think we were surprised by how natural it felt for us. So, and it was fun. So we thought, yeah, why not?
I think at the beginning, before, like in the lead up to it, I was quite confident about it. But in the sort of 20 minutes before we were about to start, I was pacing around, absolutely bricking it. But we started the set with just a wall of noise, like feedback, and everyone was cheering the feedback. And I thought, okay, they're on our side. It's going to be okay. And that kind of set the tone for the gig. So it was good.
That's a good method to conquer nerves, actually. Just blast them with feedback and see what the reception is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Might utilize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to the beginning, because I've been following your band since way back. It was 1999 you came under my radar, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then One Inch God came out shortly after, and you were just everywhere. You were supporting everyone. It was quite a sharp rise, wasn't it? How were those days? Because I've spoken to a few people from that era of the last year. Because there's a lot of guys who are giving it another crack and coming back. So how was that era for you? Just going on to like the onto Kerrang, just and Kerrang was like a big deal back then. It was like huge. Everyone read Kerrang every Wednesday. How was that?
It was nuts, to be honest. Like, I think, like, it was just like a weird dream. It was like, especially sort of when I really noticed it, I think for me personally was when we were in Kerrang quite a lot. And I think it must have been like, I don't know if it was Ozfest yeah, it must have been Ozfest 2001. And I went there and then like literally, because we'd been in Kerrang like most weeks,
Hmm.
it was like I was a famous person, like a celebrity there. And it was so weird. Like it freaked me out so much because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and I got really paranoid and was like hiding and it was and I was just like, what's happened? I don't even know.
Hmm.
It was just so strange, like, and it just makes me laugh thinking about it now. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. It was like weird. We got to tour with bands that I had posters of on my wall when I was a kid growing up, and it was just like surreal, really, being in
Mm.
situations, meeting people that you'd only seen in magazines or or whatever previous to that. Just getting to know them and just having. We had a lot of fun. This is what I'd say. It was a bit of just a bubble for a while where we were just in our own little world, just got like 2001 when the first album came out. I think we done, it was like 120 gigs or something. So it was basically like, nearly one every 3 days. But we were just out loads,
Mm.
touring, supporting. Just yeah, just that was our life, and it was fun. But it's I don't think we'd be able to do it now. We'd all be asleep pretty quickly. We had a lot more energy back then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back then, I had a flatmate at the time, Derek. Shout out, Derek. And he was obsessed with your first record. And we got tickets to go to Tattoo the Planet. And you guys were
Oh.
you guys were opening up though, weren't you?
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. That was like the soundtrack to our summer, that album. He always had it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The Tattoo the Planet thing was like a series of like very strange world events that led
Mm,
to us being able, I mean, because, you know, if it was because 9/11 had not
mm,
long happened, and then like loads of bands couldn't come over, and then they were trying to fill the slots, and we just happened to have changed agents just before, and that agent took like well, no, he took all of his acts from the agency we were on with him to the big agency, and then all of a sudden we're playing Wembley, and I'm
mm.
like, what's going on? And we turned up in a transit van
Yeah.
because, and I remember, yeah, I was like the second ever teenage girl to play on that stage after Britney
Wow.
Spears. So
That's an accolade, man. That's so cool.
I think we played Rock City the night before, and we were supposed to leave after the gig to make sure we were up in time, but we ended up staying quite late. And I think we pretty much it felt like we just went from there straight to Wembley. We turned up and rolled out the back of a transit van, all feeling a little bit worse for wear. I remember the strap on my bass being broken, trying to fix it with a matchstick, and Tony out speed on was just like, "Look at you, you sort of like you're here to play Wembley, and I'm trying to fix my bass with a matchstick." It was just, yeah, we weren't. We got to do the big gigs, but we probably weren't prepped for them in any way.
Absolutely. I mean, they were incredible days back then. I do look back on that particular era quite fondly. I mean, there was obviously yourselves, there was Speedhorn, 1 Minute Silence, In Me. All these bands were absolutely killing it at the time. Orange Goblin,
mm,
absolutely all killing it. And you're all back now, which is amazing. I was speaking to like Orange Goblin not long ago, and
yeah,
it's so cool. Do you think that the industry's ripe for a resurgence of those bands because it's a reaction to what is very sterile music going around in metal at the moment? There's a lot of very overproduced stuff. Do you think we need to get back to the grit?
maybe.
Potentially,
Like I've
yeah.
really noticed recently that there's lots of metal bands that play to backing tracks like
Yeah.
pop singers, and I'm just like, what's going on?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like part of me thinks that's cheating. It's not, but
Mm.
like I understand like there was like some bands that did that, obviously like Fear Factory, Static X, that kind of thing. But like now it's like pretty. That's what people are doing, and I'm like, I know technology allows it, but that's not
Mm.
what we were like raw and noisy and made mistakes, and that's just what you
Yeah.
do. So yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
we're definitely rough around the edges. We're actually a bit more polished now, I'd say, but
I
that's
miss all
just
that.
yeah. We're
Yeah, I
still rough
definitely
around the
do.
edges, but we're just probably a little bit better because we've got 20 years more experience of playing instruments now.
True, true.
A
But
few
I went to
years.
see like Jesus Lizard the other day, and it was just like, plug in, go for it. And it felt genuinely dangerous for the first time in ages. You get that feeling of anything could happen. Like this
Mm.
could
Mm.
explode. You know? I miss
No.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I definitely get that. There's definitely that kind of edginess has gone out of a lot of gigs, I'd imagine.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So obviously, you had your first album, 1 Inch God, which was, you got you all over Krang. Then you followed up pretty quickly with Ray Zero. So was there a lot of pressure on you to get that second album out, like quick at the
Um,
time?
Sort of the opposite in a way. We done a before Ray Zero, we done a split EP with our mates band called Scourge,
Mm.
and then we were kind of like put in a practice room to write the second album, and we were kind of left there for a bit, maybe a bit too long in a way, which didn't really do us any favors. But yeah, I don't know. I think there was definitely a bit of pressure to maybe for it to sound more like that, but we definitely moved away from that sound on the second album,
Mm.
I think our reaction to the first album being quite polished compared to our live gigs was to make the second one a bit more raw and live
I was
sounding.
I was going to get onto that. I've not because I've listened through like the discography, and you seem to steadily get nastier as you go along. Like in guitar tone, anyway. The guitar tone is quite harsh. Like there's lots of blasts of like feedback that
Well,
really jump out the mix at you.
I mean, the feedback was always part of it, but I'd say, yeah, on Ray Zero and the last one,
Hmm.
For As It Ends When We Drown, that we in fact we've been talking about this recently. We're not particularly happy with the production on those ones and them harsh
Hmm.
guitar sounds. I think, yeah, looking back, they could have probably sounded a bit better, to be fair. But
I like it.
yeah,
Don't you?
well, that's good. Yeah,
I mean, do you know what? I actually really like Ray Zero because I'm like more of a sort of punky type or
Mm,
hardcore. So I like the songs, but I think we've all sort of agreed that actually let's re-record them now
nice.
and go with the sort of like, give them the justice they deserved.
Yeah,
Like maybe,
absolutely.
and we're doing it ourselves because we can now because technology is so different and we've got the skills between us. So that's yeah. So we're re-recording some of them because I mean I loved the songs on the album because they had that like punkier edge. So
Mm,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I like the songs. It was yeah, just more the sound really, which is
sound
this
yeah.
like part of the reason for before obviously we're back. It was like we'll re-record a few of those second and third album tracks as a little introduction back into the band for people that wouldn't have known
mm.
it first time round. But then obviously writing some new stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and as Gen said, it's all very DIY still. We've tracked drums in uh, I don't know what to describe it as a place last weekend in Leicester.
It looks like a squat
So
studio.
yeah, yeah,
Sounds good.
it was very cold.
No
That's
one's paying for
amazing. So,
heating.
so you're going to revisit some older tracks, give them a new makeover, and then you mentioned there that there is new material on the way. You're working.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
got. I mean, we've not really worked on a lot of it yet. We've got some ideas. We've all been sort of sharing some riffs and ideas and bits like that. So it's yeah, we're just kind of doing this recording first and then concentrating on that. But yeah, that's quite exciting to see what comes out of
yeah.
us after all this time.
Well, yeah, obviously, and the music in well, heavy metal is different now to what it was back in the early 2000s. Obviously, we've had 20 years of things happening. So now, when first came out, like there was yourself, Jen, and Kitty, and there wasn't many girls doing the harsh vocal, the
No,
harsh vocal. So like
no.
you guys were paving the way. Nowadays, it's pretty like you've got Ginger, you've got Spirit Box, you've got all these bands doing it, but like you really were pioneering back then. And
Yeah,
I think that's what maybe gave you the upper hand, maybe.
yeah, novelty factor. I think. Yeah. No, it's true. Like I think it was very male dominated.
Mm,
Um and I'm really, really happy it's not so male dominated now, although I still think it is
mm.
quite like but it's
Yeah,
still like it's
it's
much
still
better
a
than
very
there is.
balanced, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember like back then. I mean, oh, metalers was so misogynistic. I mean,
Oh,
there's still problems now, but back then it was just like, oh, a girl can do growls, and it was
mm,
just like, and that was like, well, yeah, and
I
probably better
remember
than most of you. So
after a gig in Bedford, you getting chased around the car park by a bunch of drunk men trying to get her to scream to prove that she was actually doing it, and
uh,
it being a bit hairy. And I think me and the rest of the boys had to sort of get in the middle and sort of just tell them
nightmare.
to go away. But it was
I
yeah.
did do it in the end. I told
Did
him
you
to
do
F off. But I
Well,
was like, leave me alone.
that.
It's
But
not,
yeah,
it's not an effect, it's me.
but it's like I've interviewed a lot of bands like from like the queercore movement and stuff like that. And if I think back to how metal was back then, I mean, God, that wouldn't have happened. Like it was, so we have come a long way, but we haven't come a
Yeah,
long enough way yet. I think would be what I would say.
yeah,
I absolutely agree with that. I think especially since like after Defend, I kind of went into like more punk bands,
Mm,
and punk's always been a lot more accepting of women right from the
mm,
beginning.
yeah.
And it's just not an issue there. And then
Mm,
sort of going back into this sort of metal scene, I'm already aware of like how there's that sort of just like you said, misogyny.
mm.
And like I do, I do hope it's better, but they still need a lot of work.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. There's,
Hmm.
I mean, there's girls like yourself, and there's like Rolo Tomasi leading the charge. She's incredible. And there's like bands like Lambrini Girls. Mind you, they're punk, but they're like topping the charts and stuff now. It's like we're making headway, but not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm buzzing to see that you guys are back together. I think the scene needs it. And so, is there anywhere we can see you play live?
We've got a couple. We're actually booking stuff at the minute. We've got a couple that are to be announced shortly. Can we again? Are we allowed to say where the IX are not being announced, or
I don't know.
People,
Yeah.
will be releasing this in about 4 weeks.
okay? Yeah, all right. There's one. They're the first couple we've booked anyway are fairly local to us, but there's a thing called Northants Rocks, which is a sort of metal festival in Northamptonshire. Speedhorn headline in one of the days,
Awesome.
and Gutworm, who are an old Northampton band. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Yep.
But yeah, we've been announced on that bill. And then there's a thing called Mayday Mayhem in Northampton, which we're doing with. I'm gonna forget who we're playing with now.
Kid Bookie.
Oh, Kid Bookie, yeah.
Yeah. I'm quite looking forward to that because that's going to be a really different crowd for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in all day. There's loads of bands on, lots of sort of metal and rock, all sorts of stuff. So it's a bit of a, that'd be quite good. But yeah, we'd really like our managers looking at booking some stuff, which is weird to say that we've got a manager now after this guy.
And a lovely manager too.
He's amazing.
Yes, big up Sam.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's a fan of us. And also, like, I think because we're like all sort of have our own busy lives now, it's nice to have someone who's able to ring people up. Well, you don't ring people up anymore, email people, like contact people, do social media and stuff, because it takes a lot of time that we, don't necessarily have. And he's great. We love him.
Also a great musician too.
Yeah.
I've been watching some videos. Yeah.
So, while you've been away over the last 20 years, this is quite a broad-reaching question, but like, what have you been listening to while you've been away? What's been your sort of jam? What have you been into?
I knew this was going to come up, and it's I listen to. I've sort of fell out of the loop with metal a lot, to be honest. I listen to all sorts. It's one of them. It's how, I don't know. Where do I start?
You're in a band called Lux, right?
I was years ago. Not in that anymore. I'm in
Right.
a band called Baines. It's like atmospheric kind of rock type stuff. Some backing tracks again. But just all sorts. I like sort of a bit more dark gothy stuff, really.
There's a lot of good dark gothy stuff around at the moment. What about you again?
Well, I think I was like I said, I went into like more punky kind of bands, and I've always liked the more sort of faster paced, as far as like heavy music, the faster paced sort of hardcore and punk kind of things. So I like that, but I'm always a bit of a sucker for a pop song as well. Not like pop, but like some of the more edgier pop things, really.
Like Charlie XCX or something.
Yeah, like I love it. I love the. It's funny because people say, "Oh, I don't like formulaic music," and I'm like, I love formulaic music. And I think actually, if you listen to Defense songs, they are pretty formulaic. Like they are sort of like 3 minutes, and they have like a structure. But I think there's like my influence on that a little bit, because I like it. I just like it to be nice and snappy and in your face, and it gets boring otherwise for me. So
Do you think your voice has changed a bit since?
Yes, and that's that's one of the things. And like, it was making me feel like when running up to the first gig, I was so worried because I hadn't done that shouty thing. I haven't even performed in bands for about 10 years. So I was like, you know, and I'm a mum and I'm a psychotherapist and I've got such a gentle voice most of the time. So when I was like faced with having to do that shouty thing again, I was like, am I even going to be able to do this? I managed to. It was like painful process, but I sort of managed to. But I think I noticed like with some of the vocals, I was like, I'm not fit. It doesn't feel comfortable, like the singing bits.
Mm.
And then like I was thinking, oh, I've got to get up to, and then I realized, you know what, my voice is lower. I was like, when I was at, you know, not long before DFAM, when I was at school, I was a top soprano in a choir.
Mm.
And now like, you know, things like having a kid and getting older makes your voice lower. And even though I've still got quite a squeaky voice, it's made me think, and I keep sort of saying to the boys, like, I think I'm going to just change a couple of the melodies on the songs in the recording because to fit my voice now.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like, and I can still do the shouty thing weirdly, but like, yeah, the singing bits, it's definitely, yeah, changed.
Well, it's a muscle, isn't it? And it
Yeah.
needs to be worked.
Definitely, yeah, and I heard as well, like while a woman's pregnant, their muscles all over their body stretch for obvious reasons, including your vocal cords. So even though I wasn't in bands and stuff, I was singing throughout my pregnancy because I wanted to keep a range. I know that Adele, when she was pregnant, her voice got really, really low, and she's sort of like kept that range, but also gone back up. Now she's not. So I did sing through my pregnancy for that reason. But yeah, I think my comfort range is a bit lower than it was. So might adjust things rather than beat myself up about not being as, but you know, I'm a lot older. I'm like nearly double the age. So,
But yeah, I do think like singers, I mean, because
mm,
guitarists can get away with it a bit more than singers can because guitarists, I mean, you might stiffen up as you get older and what have you, and maybe if you don't practice as much, you'll lose a bit of dexterity. But the voice, I mean, you only need to
mm,
look at like Vince Neil and Axl Rose to see like voices change. But you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think with singers, it's really is something that's quite a delicate like
mm.
situation. You know, even with active bands when they're on tour, they have to watch what they eat, watch what they drink, you know, all that
I
kind of stuff.
know. Yeah, like I can't have any dairy for about a week before a gig. No, even more so now because like I'm just not as I don't bounce back as well as I used to. I used to do, but like yeah, so I have to also, you know, be aware that I'm probably gonna potentially like be a bit husky for a few days after a gig as well. And actually I when we did the first gig back, I was like really like I'd lost my voice almost. I didn't tell anyone in the band. I was just like, I'm going to do it, and then I'll say afterwards, "Oh, I'm not." I managed to pull that off, but it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I've actually had to go back to basics, and I'm doing like loads of singing warm ups off YouTube and stuff.
Mm.
Just like because I think I need to. I'm old now. I need to look after the muscles that are my voice.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm 47. I totally with you all the way on this, and I'm going back on tour in March, and I don't know. You know,
You've got to get good fit.
yes, I'll be doing my stretches anyway.
Yeah.
But the good
My
thing
God.
about now, as opposed to back then, like you know, in the early 2000s, you do have YouTube now. You do have little tutorials available to you. You can, you know, do
Yeah.
things the right way these days. You know.
I know I found some really good ones, and I particularly love Cheryl Porter, the singer, and she's like an American lady, and she's just like a ray of sunshine, and she does all these little workouts, and she wears boxing gloves, and I love her, and I'm like sit in the bath doing all these weird sort of going and stuff. I love it, but it's good. It keeps me like flexible in the voice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. I've got a question I'm asking everyone I interview. As me last question. I'm asking this to everyone. I've had like Dave Lombardo from Slayer answer it. I had like a bunch of people answer it. And so the idea is we make a playlist at the end of the year. So the question is, one each. Um, any genre, you have to put a song on the national curriculum for every child to listen to before they're 18. What is it?
Hmm.
You can have any genre.
Hmm.
Either
I'm
black
thinking.
metal,
I'm
I would
thinking
say
it's.
Adele.
I've got a 5-year-old, so I'm just thinking, what if I like made him listen to? So, well, do you know what? Like, I absolutely adore Shonen Knife,
Oh, lovely.
Japanese. Yes, I love them. I've seen them a few times, and actually, when I've played songs to them, to my little boy, he loves them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I think I'm just going to be a bit left field and say, trying to think of a song that he would like. He likes Banana Chips, which is just a song about banana chips. And that's what I love about them, because they just write songs about inane things, and I love it.
Oh, that'll look great on the playlist. I'm
Yes.
all for that. I'm all for that. Right, for
Excellent.
yourself, Scott.
So are you actually building this playlist,
I
or
am. I'm
you
going to go back
are?
through all the interviews and build the playlist.
And have you got a range of all sorts on there? We can have anything
Oh,
we want.
absolutely. I had a black metal band, Patriarch. They voted for Adele.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dave Lombardo actually said Slayer, which is fine.
Okay.
well,
Well,
fair enough.
I was thinking, should we say Defend, because then more people would hear us. But I'll go with Into My Arms by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Nick Cave on the list now. This
absolutely
is going to be a
beautiful,
banging,
beautiful
banging
song.
Spotify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone
Oh,
should
yeah, I'm
listen.
feeling this. Awesome. Right. So, you're re-recording the highlights of your last couple of albums, and then you get new material and some live gigs. So it's all system go. So,
Yeah,
yes,
Mm,
we look forward to hearing it all and seeing you as well. Thank you so much for
yeah.
being with me today.
yeah,
Thank
no
you
worries.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.